How's it going, Gumi Gang? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video covering the Black Ops 6 beta. We're in weekend 2. I've had a few games to play now and I've been using the slug rounds. Now, in the video I made before this, talking about the Marine SP shotgun overall, I really disregarded the slugs and I said avoid them entirely. I kind of just said throw them in the trash. And while I do think that they are pretty bad in the grand scheme of things, they're actually not as bad as I thought, and they do have some utility over the base gun that I want to talk about, which I did give it a fair chance and used again. So I want to change my opinion on it and share with you guys my best loadout I was able to make for the slug rounds. I guess to start, let's talk the one-shot kill range. For the one-shot kill range, of course, I can't really test this in private matches since private matches aren't a thing, and I tried to test on someone who was AFK, but I shot him once and then they started playing again, and everybody's playing really sweaty, so I haven't really found anybody AFK to test on. Maybe I will in one match, but this essentially gives you about the same one-shot kill range from what I can tell as the base gun, maybe a slight bit better. It doesn't seem like much at all though, and in all honesty, it doesn't seem like it has a great one-shot kill range for slugs considering how hard they are to use. It's no Argus, it's no KSG, that's for sure. But the big allure, from what I found, the big reason to use slugs over the base ammo is consistency. With the base gun, of course, you have some spread, but a lot of people will say it's inconsistent or they get hit markers point blank or whatever. I think that's largely either a server issue or a server issue combined with the fact that they're maybe scuffing a shot, but when it works, it works. It's just that it can be a bit inconsistent. Now with slugs, even though they are harder to aim, harder to use because it's a single projectile as opposed to some pellets that are spread, the slug is going to be far more consistent if you hit your shot in that close range. As long as you get the shot in that one-shot kill range, which I want to say is like 8 meters to 10. Again, it's super hard to tell in game. It really is. It seems like it's much more consistent than the base ammo. Of course, like I said, the caveat, you have to hit your shot. It's not spread. It's a single projectile. So this is essentially a super close range marksman rifle, and it is very difficult to use. It's a high skill weapon. And with slugs, it is more consistent. I will say that. Now, the problem is once you get outside of that one-shot kill range, it's going to take at least 2 shots. No, you can't do any crazy like one-shot snipe headshots. I've hit multiple headshots at far ranges, nothing killed them. Going for 2 shots was always super difficult as well, and one of the big drawbacks to this is if you use 12 gauge slug as your fire mod, you lose access to the rapid fire mod, so your really terrible fire rate of close to like 60 RPM, that usually bumps up to about 70 with the rapid fire mod. Well, if you miss a shot, basically you're dead because it's close to a second to get your second shot off. It's really bad. Of course, the other issue I run into with this gun frequently, even with slugs, is that there's that weird delay where it's the sprint to fire speed that I think is really slow, and a lot of attachments don't really seem to help it that much. So what ends up happening is you'll like turn around, someone's like sneaking up on you, and you pull the trigger and you think you got your shot off, but you just raise your gun, don't shoot, and then you go back to sprinting. That happens to me quite a bit with this thing. It's pretty annoying. I really hope that they buff up that sprint to fire, or at least make it to where we have better sprint to fire speed attachments, like a laser that boosts it or something. Just please give us something here, Treyarch. But yeah, with slugs, it'll feel more consistent. So I do encourage you guys to try them. Again, I know I wrote them off in my last video, but I do think they have some utility. It's just that they really raise that skill gap for you, but they also make it more consistent. So if you're a kind of guy who's very much so into like quick scoping or drag scoping, or, you know, where you can essentially aim really close and kind of drag to the target, shoot, and then you're just kind of good to go, that's kind of where I feel like slugs are going to come in. I tend to kind of play that way a lot, and it worked really well for me, and I noticed it was far more consistent than the base ammo. Again, the problem too is that if you're past that one-shot range, good luck. It's going to be a challenge, and you're going to have to hit 2 shots in a row. That's like a second in between shots. People using the C9 and the Jackal, of course, and the XM4, they're probably going to kill you twice over in the time it takes you to get like a second shot off, so be warned for that. Now, for the best class that I was able to find with slugs, I basically rock the long barrel, which I don't really know if it's even helping with the one-shot range for slugs, but I'll take what I can get. It doesn't hurt your aim down sight speed or anything, so we'll just go ahead and use it since there is no other barrel that's really that good for it. Then we have the quick draw stock. This is going to help with our aim down sight speed the most out of any attachment here in the shotgun category. We have the target laser that's going to help with our aim walking steadiness and make it to where there's a little bit less idle sway. It's a really nice laser to have, and there's not really any other laser that's super useful for it. And no, before you ask, the tactical laser doesn't work with this, so you can't tac stance with slugs, unfortunately. Of course, we have 12 gauge slug, and then the last attachment is your choice. You can either use a muzzle or an optic. For the muzzle, I've been using a suppressor because I found it super useful, especially in a game like this where you do show up on the radar. If you miss a shot, you want to at least confuse the enemy a little bit and they don't know exactly where you are. So this does give you a little bit more of an edge than if you didn't have one. But of course, if you want to use an optic, you can. Feel free to make sure that you're hitting those long range shots. Wouldn't really recommend it. The iron sights are pretty good on their own, and even though the suppressor does block them a slight bit, I found it still pretty good. As for my thoughts on the slugs, they're definitely useful. They definitely have a place. They're just much harder to use. So You could argue that maybe for an average Joe, it's probably better off to just use the spread, but if you're a good player, try the slugs out and see how they feel, because up close, they can be very consistent, unlike the main shotgun with spread. And also keep in mind the sprint to fire speed on this build and the shotgun in general, not super great, so that is something to watch out for. But now I want to know down below in the comments, what is everyone's thoughts on this shotgun with slugs in particular? How are you enjoying this shotgun? How are you enjoying the beta thus far in weekend 2 if you've gotten to play it any? And what are your hopes for the full game? And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.
Counter UAV established above. Hostile UAV established overhead.